Hi everyone, my name is Brittany McManus and I'm the coordinator of student programs in the Experiential Learning Hub. Welcome to Connecting Your Summer Research Experience to Life After Graduation. Today's workshop is Workshop 2 in the Summer Research Experience series. So today's workshop is a little bit different from the first workshop. So today's session will involve 3 activities to get you thinking about your career values and personal strengths and comparing these with the role that you're currently in as a summer research student. The goal of these reflection activities is to get you thinking about life after graduation and what's important to you. For today's activities, you can download the activity sheets at the link provided on the slide. So for today, we'll be covering 3 main areas. The first is reflecting on your experience. So how does this job that you're currently in align with your future goals? Next, we'll be talking about your strengths and career values and how you can start to figure these out. And finally, we'll talk about career exploration and next steps. So we'll talk about some strategies to learn what else is out there and what can you take away from this experience as a summer research student. Let's start with reflecting on your experience using the Ikigai model. So Ikigai is a Japanese phrase that means reason for being. The idea is that we want to align your career with your Ikigai as much as possible by identifying career options that include work you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. So for now, let's reflect on your experience so far this summer by answering these questions regarding your current position. You'll see on page 1 of the activity handouts that there is some questions to guide you through the Ikigai model. So pause the video now to start to work through that on your own. And so when you're back, you'll notice that on page 2, of the handout talks about how to use this approach to determine potential career paths or areas of interest. For example, if you love writing and something that the world needs is vaccines, you could be a communications assistant for a company that researches vaccines. Or if you could be paid for your knowledge of mental health and you're good at building relationships, you could be a fundraiser for a mental health organization. So one of the foundations of career development is knowing your strengths. And in my experiences, when I meet with students for a career planning appointment, if I ask them, tell me about your strengths, sometimes they have a hard time thinking of what those are off the top of their head. So I find a different approach that especially works for those of you who may be a bit more humble and have a hard time thinking about your strengths, is to instead approach it from, tell me about moments that you're proud of. And from there, we can tease out what were the skills and the strengths that you used in that experience. So next, using page 3 of the handout, I want you to take 5 minutes and brainstorm 3 moments that you're proud of from your life. These can be big moments or little moments and go back as far as you like. Were you grade 8 valedictorian and delivered a speech to 800 people? Awesome, even though that might have been almost 10 years ago, it could be anything, but the more specific, the better. So if you can pause the video now and work through those 3 moments, that would be perfect. So now that we're back together, you'll notice that there's a space at the bottom of that handout to work through this activity with a partner. And that's typically what we would do if this workshop were in person. So I would encourage you to share your moments with someone that you live with or a friend and try to get the other person to help you find what were the skills that you were using in this moment that you're proud of and how do those strengths translate. So something to think about as well are the common themes among these 3 moments that you identified. So for example, if leadership was a quality that was present in each of your 3 experiences, and let's say in the Ikigai activity that leadership was also something that you had identified as something you enjoy and that's important to you, then that might suggest that a role that involves managing others would be a good fit for your future career path. So next, my colleague Alexis is going to talk about career values and why these are important to think about.
Thanks, Brittany. Hey everyone, my name is Alexis and I work as the Experiential Learning Services Administrator. In my role, I support on-campus opportunities such as work study, URA, and USRA. So now that you've identified some of your strengths, let's talk about another crucial component to success in the workplace, and that is your career values. Your work values are the subset of your beliefs and ideas that are related to your occupation or job. They may include things like autonomy. Perhaps you're someone who likes working independently. Or adventure. Maybe you like new events or tasks that involve a little bit of uncertainty. Or maybe you're somebody who enjoys a healthy dose of competition. You like opportunities to work against yourself or against others. Identifying what work values you cherish the most is crucial to your career development, and they can be the deciding factor between a job that you love and are excited to go to every day or one that you absolutely dread. So let's say that you value environmental sustainability. You probably won't feel good about working at a factory that dumps their waste into a lake or river. So not identifying your work values will likely diminish your chances of ultimately being satisfied with your job. For me, a strong value is continuous learning. I am most satisfied in a position where I can gain new knowledge and develop my skills on a regular basis. When I've worked in positions that did not allow for this, and I'm thinking back to most jobs I had as a teenager, it was very easy for me to check out or disengage. On the other hand, when a job allowed for this, I am much more satisfied and fulfilled in my role. So let's move on to the third activity. The third activity is an online card sort, which you will see on page 4 of your handout. So you're going to go to that link at the top of your page. When you click on that link, you should be presented with a number of value cards. You're going to go through the deck once, clicking add on any values that resonate with you and skipping ahead on any that do not. When you've gone through the deck once, click save values and continue. Then you're going to narrow down your values to your top 15. Once you do that, you're going to reduce the deck again down to your top 5 and ask yourself, your top 10, and ask yourself, what are your top 10 values? And then finally, you're going to narrow things down to your top 5 values and write them in the spaces on the handout. Once you're done, take some time to think about the reflection questions at the bottom of the handout. Ask yourself, what was difficult about selecting these top 5? And why did these make the cut? Discuss the impact of these values on your satisfaction in current and past jobs. How do you imagine you would feel if you were in a role that did not fulfill these values? And what steps could you take to investigate the presence of these values in future potential careers and employers? So you can go ahead and take a few minutes to do that. Once you're done, you should have a better idea of what your career values are, and you can be a lot more intentional about making sure they align with your current position as well as future opportunities. So I'm going to shift things back to Brittany, who will be talking about career exploration and next steps for your job search.
Starting to engage in career exploration consists of 2 main parts: knowing yourself and knowing what's out there. So now that we've started to dig into the knowing yourself piece by talking about your strengths and your values, let's change gears and talk about what's out there. So I have a question for you. How many different job titles do you know about? So when you think about what that number looks like, is it 10, 50, 100, over 100? And then I want you to think about how many different job titles are there actually in the world? And the answer may surprise you. It's over 20,000. There was a study in the Canadian Journal of Career Development that found that there are over 20,000 job titles in the world. So what's the problem here with the fact that you probably know of 20 to 50 job titles and the fact that there are over 20,000? That means there is a big gap between the options that are available and the options that you actually know about. So this is a problem. This is why, to prepare for your career, instead of thinking about job titles, let's flip the script, and instead you should focus on the problems, challenges, and opportunities that exist in the world of work. So here are some sample problems, challenges, and opportunities. helping people find work, creating a more peaceful world, raising awareness of environmental issues, promoting culture and art, using science to develop new technology, and the list goes on and on and on. A good question to ask when discovering a problem or a challenge that resonates with you is, what bugs you? For example, I really hate that avocados are only ripe for 2 seconds and then go bad extremely quickly. So if I wanted to change my career later in life, engineering better food that lasts longer could be a challenge that I might be interested in. And something to consider is that even though I have absolutely no food science background, I could try and find a way to make my skills fit within an organization that's working towards that goal, whether it's in human resources or marketing, and not just doing the actual scientific testing and research that would contribute to that issue. So some questions to get you thinking about the challenges that resonate with you are, what are the challenges that exist in the world that you are passionate about? In what way would you like to change the world? What could we do to make the world a better place? And what do we need to invent? So here is an example of the line of questioning and the traditional approach to career development that may have led you to where you are today. So you might have thought about, what high school courses are you good at? You're good at math? All right, well then in university you can take an accounting program. And then when you think after graduation, what are the jobs that you could get with an accounting degree? You could be an accountant. And then when you think about what are the companies that hire someone with an accounting degree, typically an accounting firm. And then when you get to actually being in the job, that's when you finally discover the challenges that that company is working on. And the problem is that finding that challenge so late into your career means that you might not really connect and have a strong passion for what you're actually doing. And that's where we can find that disconnect with career fit can happen. So instead, there's a different way to do things, and it requires flipping the model. So in this new approach, first, you pick the challenges that you want to work on. Second, you find the companies and organizations that are working on those challenges. Third, you do some research and find people working at those companies and discover the different jobs that exist. Fourth, you look at the education programs that they studied. And fifth, you try to direct your courses that would help you prepare for that program. So this is a different model of looking at careers, but one that is much more appropriate for the future of work. So if you're interested in exploring this approach more, we offer a free challenge cards assessment that can help you select interesting challenges to focus on and provide some examples of what careers are working towards those challenges. It's very similar to the values career sort that you did earlier with Alexis, and is a really great way to start to identify what are those opportunities that maybe you haven't thought of yet. So you can do this by booking an appointment with a career advisor in Experience Guelph and select challenge cards as the appointment type. And then we will email you the login info so that you can complete the assessment independently on your own. And then we would have a debrief appointment afterwards with you to talk about how to use that challenge in your career exploration moving forward. So as I mentioned, this new method incorporating challenges into career exploration does involve doing some research. So let's talk about the resources that you could use to research people who are working in jobs that interest you and to learn more about those challenges and career opportunities. So first of all, LinkedIn is a really fabulous resource to be able to find people working at companies of interest. So one thing that you can do to start is to actually log in and go to the University of Guelph page on LinkedIn, and you'll notice in the bottom left there is a tab that says Alumni. And then it shows you there's about 115,000 people who have a profile on LinkedIn and went to the University of Guelph. And then you can look for people searching by the keyword of your major, or you can type in companies of interest, or you can start to type in job titles if you have an idea of what your interests are. And then if you really wanted to be proactive, you could start to connect with these people and send them a connection request on LinkedIn to get to know them and their career a little bit more. Another resource is ONET, and this allows you to search for career information by interests, knowledge, skills in the advanced search function. I do want to note that this is an American website, so any data that you do see about wages, just keep in mind that this would be in US dollars. Next is Career Cruising. So this is a website that our department has purchased the license to, so you do get free access to this. So you can access the login and password for the Career Cruising website by logging into Experience Guelph and selecting Career and then Resources. So Career Cruising allows you to take assessments and learn about careers through profiled professionals. Next, professional associations are a great way to learn more about an industry. So check to see if there is an association or a society for a career that you are considering. These are helpful because they often feature blog posts, company profiles, and even networking events. One of the things that is kind of a silver lining of the pandemic is that networking events that would have been in person and perhaps would not be accessible due to the location have moved online. And this means that you might be able to take part in this networking event since it's happening in a virtual capacity. And finally, job boards are a great research resource to use when you're considering future careers. So although you wouldn't be currently applying to full-time jobs right now, you can browse through job postings for your industry to learn about what jobs exist that you may not be familiar with, or to get a sense of what the work duties really are. I do suggest keep your search terms broad by typing in relevant keywords instead of job titles, as companies might title their positions differently. So for example, company A and company B might have someone who's doing the exact same job at each of their companies, but they might title those roles differently. So try to stay away from job titles and instead just type in relevant keywords that you imagine would be in the job postings of jobs that interest you. So I encourage you to continue thinking about the things we have covered today and keep up the momentum. So career exploration really does take work. So try to set small, manageable goals for yourself to work towards during the rest of your undergrad or your graduate degree. So here are some examples of goals. You could do a 30-minute check-in with a career advisor to chat about your career goals. Now that you have completed those strengths and values activities, those would be perfect to bring with you to an appointment with a career advisor to really help them connect the dots and find those common patterns that maybe you haven't recognized yet. You could also follow 3 companies that interest you on LinkedIn. This is great for keeping in the loop with projects that those companies are working on, and you'll also see when job postings are popping up more easily if you are following those companies. You could also reach out to 2 alumni of your program. So if networking is new to you, that's something that a career advisor could also help you with in terms of starting up those messages to alumni that you'd like to learn more about their career path. And finally, you could register for an online newsletter from a relevant professional association. This is a great way to, again, stay in the loop about your industry, learn about conferences and events, and have some really interesting things to talk about when you do get called for an interview in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie and I'm a peer helper with the Experiential Learning Hub. I just want to take a quick moment to promote a new initiative that I'm piloting this summer called the Career Development Advisory Committee. This is a group of students, such as yourselves, who will volunteer to meet bi-weekly in the evenings throughout the summer to review career exploration and job search content that the Experiential Learning Hub produces. The idea is that the feedback these students will provide in these meetings, using their diverse perspectives, will help the career advisors to improve this content for all University of Guelph students. Now, joining the committee would make for a great addition on your resume, but it would also help other students with their career exploration. So if you would like an opportunity to make a difference in our student community and you feel like this is something you would like to be involved in, then please contact Brittany. You can find her email at the bottom of the slide. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Natalie. So if you're not familiar with the Experiential Learning Hub, I just want to wrap up this webinar by describing the other services that we provide. So we assist with resumes and cover letters, as well as anything to do with further education. So if you'd like to speak with someone about choosing the best program for your goals or applying to programs, as well as having a second pair of eyes on your statement of intent or your CV, then we can absolutely help with that. In addition, we also assist with interview preparation. So whether it's for an employment opportunity, volunteering, or for a further education interview, we can do a mock interview and provide interview coaching. We also assist with career planning. So if today's conversation has got you thinking about life after graduation, we would love to speak with you more about that. And finally, we also assist with job searching. So job searching is definitely a skill, and there are ineffective ways and really effective ways of job searching, and we want to make sure that you're being as effective as possible. So virtual career advisor appointments are available, and you can book them through experienceguelph.ca. And I just want to mention that you do get free access to our services for a year from the date that you convocate. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and we hope to see you soon.